Welcome back to the Real Positive Girl podcast. My name is Sabrina. Happy Wednesday to you all. I hope that you're having a great day. I hope that it is going superb. Just a reminder that this week we are talking about self-growth tips, and today, Wednesday, we're going to be specifically talking about be yourself and not what the world wants. But before we jump into that episode, again, happy Wednesday. I hope that you're having a fantastic day, whether your day is just beginning, in the middle, or towards the end. And if you are having a tough day, or you're having a day where there's been a certain part of it that's been crappy so far and you'd really like to move past that, I always suggest doing the 5-minute reset, which is to take at least 5 minutes to be by yourself, which allows you to reset, reboot, restart your day right then and there, but also draw a line in the sand where you just want to not necessarily forget the first part of your day, but kind of just put it behind you and then look forward to and work harder and be more positive about the rest of your day going forward. The 5-minute reset also allows you to take the time to problem solve any issues or problems you're having by yourself or with someone else, so you can hopefully walk away with a resolution. And I always encourage everyone to come up with a list of at least 4 things that you are grateful for, big, small, medium size. It doesn't matter. You can literally be grateful for anything. You can be grateful that you were able to meet some new friends this year despite quarantine, so you do have people to hang out with during the holiday time. You can be grateful that maybe you decided not to do holidays with your family because you just thought it'd be too stressful because of the pandemic. You can be grateful that you were able to take a nap during work today, or like during your lunch break, not like during work. And you can be grateful that work is still going really well and you still have a job despite everything that is happening in the world. And maybe you feel lucky you're not in an industry that is slowly kind of collapsing in on itself or just being crippled because of the pandemic. There are so many things you can be grateful for. It's a never-ending list. You always can come up with something if you try hard enough of things you can be grateful for. Last but not least, make sure that you're feeling at least neutral, if not positive, about the rest of your day, because of course coming up with a list of 4 things that you're grateful for should give you something to feel positive about, something to feel happy about, and something else to focus on besides any problems or issues or negative experiences that you are currently going through, because it may be a hard time, but if you refocus on the positive things that are going well and try to channel in that energy, it'll be a lot easier to get through those hard times. But I do hope that you are having a really good Wednesday today. Like I said at the top of the show, we are talking about self-growth tips, and today specifically we are talking about be yourself and not what the world wants. So let's go ahead and jump right in. I knew I had to include this in my list of self-growth episodes because it's something that so many people struggle with, including myself. It's also super easy to become what everyone around you wants and needs and not serve yourself at all. You don't want to wake up one day and not know who you are. And that has happened to me. I spent my whole life being a people pleaser and wanting everyone around me to be happy and pampered and just taken care of and not have to worry about anything. But as you continue to fall deeper and deeper into that, I would say personality, that lifestyle, that kind of mindset, you will lose yourself, because once you actually wake up and realize that you haven't really been taking care of yourself and you cannot go on any longer being a people pleaser because you're not serving yourself and you cannot pour from an empty glass, then you're like, okay, crap, I need to figure out who I am. Or you just realize that you are important too, and you're like, again, I got to figure out who I am. And it's so hard to do that, especially as an adult, because, as a child or as an adolescent, even as like a teen or early 20s, you still have a lot of room to, breathe a little bit, make more mistakes than you maybe feel like you could as an adult. Like, everyone is free to make mistakes because it's one of the best ways to learn. However, I would argue that as a younger person, you have a wider berth to do that, and it's a little bit more forgiving. So if you are trying to find yourself as an adult, it can be a little bit harder and more stressful because you've already had to throw yourself into some sort of job or career to pay the bills and be able to enjoy your life even just a little bit, so you can go out and eat and have fun with friends and whatever. And it also can be really difficult because if you're already in committed relationships and they know you as one person, but then you're all of a sudden trying to evolve into who your true self is, like actually who you are and not just people pleaser person, it can be really shocking for the family or the spouse or friends and whomever else that will be experiencing that change and that glow up. Really, I think it's a glow up for sure, but it can be really tough on other people because, like, if you're just significantly changing how you think and how you're going to act, and I don't mean like super dramatically, just more of like, putting yourself first more, or actually seeking out your hobbies and your dreams and spending time on those things. It's really important. But yeah, I definitely struggle with that. I know a lot of people will struggle with that. It's common. But yeah, it's super easy to just let everything go, not serve yourself, and then there you are, like feeling naked and afraid and uncertain about everything because you got to figure out who the heck you are now, because you spent so much time helping other people figure out who they are, and then, like, assisting them and loving them and caring for them as they grew up to figure out what they need to do to be who they are. So the biggest point I want to make about being yourself is that God made you a certain way, for sure. And by you not indulging in that and trying to autocorrect it somehow by shadowing someone else, you are not only disrespecting God, but yourself too. So, this is important for me to mention to you because, number one, yes, God made you to be the way that you are. And I understand that a lot of us feel like, the feelings and the self-direction inside may not seem correct, but, he made us to be who we are supposed to be. And by, not wanting to accept that, it is disrespectful to him and to yourself, but also, it's just, you want to indulge in who you are, because generally what happens is if you're out there shadowing someone else, trying to be like everyone else, and it's going to come to an end at some point where you will have to essentially wake up and then actually find yourself. And like I was saying before, the sooner you do that, the easier it'll be. If you continue to drag it on and on and on, there'll be a whole bunch of baggage to deal with, and also, relationships in your life, and then just you actually taking the time to figure out who you are and trying things out, and, maybe it being more difficult as like a grown adult with like a ton of other responsibilities. I'm just being real with you guys. It's not impossible, obviously, because I'm going through it, but it is tougher, it's tougher than someone that's out there just trying things for the fun of it because they're young and they're free and they're just trying to figure life out, right? Because especially if you're an adult and you get caught in so many responsibilities that you feel like you're drowning, and then another responsibility that you're adding on top of that is trying to figure out who the heck you are and how you can like help yourself and serve yourself. That's just, it's like a cherry on top of like a tower of overwhelming pressure on yourself, right? So it's important but I did want to make the point to understand that we are all made to be who we are. I understand that the desire to want to be like someone else is strong because of the things they may have or the opportunities they may receive, or, just their likability, personality, what they look like. Those are all, and what they're born into kind of things. So I understand the desire there. However, we are all given a certain journey to fulfill because it will give us the lessons that we need to become stronger and become who we are and live out that life that we are meant to have. So, but the thing that really shakes me out of this mindset of, not wanting to be like someone else, is thinking about how the people we are trying to please, and this is, I was trying to find like a way to explain this where it makes sense, so hopefully this makes sense. So thinking about how the people we are trying to please, if you're a people pleaser and you've spent your majority of your life doing that, aren't out here pretending, as far as we know, and they are just being themselves, and yet we are doing everything to hide who we are and morph into something for someone else to get that same kind of love and acceptance. So think about it, like these people that we are trying to please, that we are trying to be a chameleon for and just be what they need in that moment, like why can't we be that person? Why can't we be the person that other people are trying to please? And I'm not saying that, if people are trying to do that to you, that you should encourage it. But I'm just saying, like, there's people out there that are, just soaking it all in. However, the flip side of that is, yes, we do not know if they are pretending to be who they are and just accepting all of that. But there are going to be instances of people that are very confident and sure in who they are and what they need to do. And you are serving them in the ways that they want. And that could be you. That could be you, the person that's just living in who you are and what you know, and growing into that more and more and more, and just being your true self. So it's just interesting. I just thought that was an interesting thought to think, like, the people that we are spending so much time admiring, we could be those people that we are admiring, but we're choosing to do it the harder way, as far as I can see. But why didn't we just use them as an example of what to do, and B, to get that love? We were taking the hard way around this, because a lot of times people that are people pleasers and perfectionists tend to do that because they want the attention and love and acceptance that serving other people will give them, as opposed to just allowing people to love you and accept you for who you truly are, which is really tough. I understand, especially if you've already received like backlash and, and unacceptance and just disrespect and, have lacked love. The reason that I was a people pleaser is because of my upbringing and the disaster that was there, like, being raised by my dad and my mom and her drug issues, and then my dad and his own personal issues, and having to deal with everything that he was going through. And I know that there were financial issues and concerns there, despite him being a super, super smart man and very capable. It's like not a lot of people were giving him an opportunity to do that. Anyway, so I grew up as a people pleaser and a perfectionist because it made me look like the golden child for my dad. And I feel like that was what his expectation was. It could be wrong, but it felt like it was. And then I just like sunk in from there. And then also, I was kind of like my mom's favorite out of all 6 kids that she had. I know that's hard to say, but I kind of was. And like my older sister acknowledged that, because she would spend most of her time trying to visit me and hang out with me. And it wasn't that the other kids were out of reach by any means. It was just, I don't know, gravitated to me. And so I was like, okay, if I continue to be that really, really, really good kid and not create any problems, then I will continue to be the favored one. I will get her attention, because I wasn't getting as much positive attention from my dad as I wanted, and yada, yada, yada. So that, but it's hard, because when you're a people pleaser, when you're trying to not be yourself and be someone else, part of that is because of the desire for love and acceptance from others, so you're trying to figure out how to get it any way that you can. And, why must we have the mindset that we need to be what someone else wants, when we were all created to be someone special and individual in our own right? And we were all made to be different, because being the same isn't helpful to one another. And I'm sure it would be boring. And I know that talking about how we're all special and made to be unique and blah, 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 can sound really cheesy, but it's true. It's absolutely true. Because can you take a moment to imagine a world where everyone was the same? Everyone looked the same. Everyone acted the same. Everyone had the same exact opportunities. Everyone had the same amount of knowledge, type of knowledge. Like, how are we going to grow and learn from each other if we're all exactly the same, right? And also, that thought of learning and growing from others is also the thing that really humbles me when I try to be the perfectionist person that's trying to know everything and be on top of everything and be like the all-knowing, perfect person in the group. I definitely jump back to that, and I'm like, oh, that's right. I don't need to know everything, because we're all meant to teach each other and help each other along the way as a true community. Doesn't always work out like that, I understand. However, that is like the idea. So it's important to accept and understand that we all are made to be different and individual, and we should be celebrating each other in that right. But I know it's hard, because, people have bias and prejudices, and a lot of people find comfort in other people being the same as them, because it's hard for them to accept something different outside of what their everyday norm is. But wouldn't you think that if we spent more time accepting people and, getting out of our comfort zone and having having different people in our everyday life, then it wouldn't seem like something out of the norm, right? I think that sounds right to me. So anyway, so today I want to give you 5 tips on how to be more yourself and stop giving into what the world wants you to be. So let's just jump into those tips. Tips number 1 is to acknowledge the fears you have about being yourself. So there's going to be fears and reasons why you do not want to fully indulge in who you're meant to be. But one of the reasons could be that you don't know who that is. I get it if you've, been pretending to be all these other people all along. However, once you allow yourself to dive into that, and usually there's a little bit of an inkling in your soul, in your heart of what you like, what you're interested in, kind of like the start of the path and the journey that you want to be on. But there's usually fears behind that. You fear that you won't be accepted. You fear that people will criticize you and make fun of you. You fear that maybe you won't be able to support yourself financially or support your family. You fear that you might lose the love and affection of people because what you are deciding to do will be so left field, so out of the norm. Maybe you fear that you will fail and you don't want to fail and fall on your face and have to try and try again. Or maybe that you are fearing that you will succeed, and then succeeding comes more responsibilities and also maybe a change in your life that you don't feel like you're ready for. And then maybe the fear of succeeding because you don't want to overstep your bounds with other people that are succeeding, that feel like they are the only ones that are supposed to be succeeding. So there could be so many things. So it's important for you to take the time to really be introspective and think about, what are the underlying fears of the reasons why I do not want to try to be more of yourself. Tip number 2 is to stop with the negative self-talk. Obviously, you're not going to embrace who you truly are and live out in that mindset and that lifestyle if you are continuing to put yourself down. So you really have to stop talking to yourself negatively, because it's one thing for people to speak negatively to you, to your face, share things with you. If you ever are on social media and you have enough people that are watching you, so there's always someone that has something negative to say. But it's really what happens inside your mind, the things that the words and the talk that people can't see, can't hear, don't know about unless you tell them. And it's usually the most vicious, the most wicked, the most terrible negative things that you could say to yourself that you're saying to yourself. And usually, yes, it's derived from, outside things being brought in and what other people may say, and driving on those thoughts and ideas. But still, you have to really get on top of not talking to yourself negatively, because if you can start there and clean that up, then you will be more confident and you will learn to be more fearless, and you will be able to step out in the world and try new things and not be afraid to fall down and believe in yourself and keep going and succeed in your journey to become your best self, your true best self. Tip number 3 is to celebrate your strengths and what makes you different. Again, I was already harping on how it's important for us to acknowledge and accept how we're all different, and you should make the time and the effort to celebrate what makes you different. How are you special? And then what are your strengths? A lot of times we focus in and hone in on our weaknesses because we want to continually get better at everything, which is great. That's not bad. But if we are only focusing in on the negatives and not the positives, what we're actually good at, and we can even still continue to work on our strengths and what we're good at and what makes us different, because if we're able to kind of shift and change in those things a little bit, maybe they will be able to help people better and in different ways and have more opportunities. So I feel like you can do work on both sides. But again, it's so much easier to spend time focusing in on the negative than it is the positive and what we're good at. So if you spend more time focusing on those strengths, that'll definitely give you more confidence. That'll definitely help you feel more fearless, and that'll definitely help you to be more apt to be more like yourself, and really believe in who you are and what you are about. Tip number 4 is to practice vulnerability. I think that vulnerability is amazing. Just laying your heart on the line, just like being very open and honest, and talk to people about what you're going through and what you're choosing to do about it. And I know that it can be scary because, when we open up our personal thoughts and feelings and emotions, people can definitely rain all over it and, throw dirt at it and just yell at it and curse at it and tell us that we're stupid. And yeah, it's a risk that everyone has to take. But I encourage you to work on being more vulnerable, being able to express how you're feeling and what you're going through and how you're getting through those things, because you never know who you are encouraging by sharing those things, by being honest about those things, and allowing someone else to also mimic that behavior that you're engaging in. And maybe that could save their life. Maybe that could help them feel better, feel stronger, and not want to end their life, or not want to run away, or not want to make terrible choices, because you're modeling that you believe in yourself, that it's okay to struggle, it's okay to work on yourself, it's okay to make mistakes, as long as you keep going. And you're out there modeling that, and someone else sees it and they're like, wow, that person went through some hard crap, but they're still going, they're still strong, and that's amazing. And I always try to think about that. That helps me to keep going, because you never know who's watching, you never know who's taking notes. Even if no one ever says anything, you never know who you are a role model for, and that's very important to know. And yes, I understand there's I don't know, there was a couple years ago where I got in a fight online with someone because I was kind of I had mentioned a comment about how some person that used to be on the Disney Channel was out there showing their private parts, and don't they know they're a role model? And people are like, well, maybe they didn't want to be a role model. And it's really hard for me to believe that, because yes, you went on TV and you lived your acting dream and whatever, but it's you have to know that being in the public eye means that you are some sort of role model. So it's important to understand that even regular people that aren't famous, you can still be a role model for someone that sees you on the regular, or even just a little bit here and there, and really takes that in. You just never know. So that's why you just have to do it in faith and belief. Tip number 5, and the last tip that I want to share with you today, is to know you can't please everyone. You just can't. And this is probably, out of all of these steps, the hardest one for me, because I want to please everyone. That is a people pleaser's ultimate goal, is to make them happy, get that smile, get that acceptance, get that pat on the head. But you just can't please everyone. You can literally get down on your knees and offer someone everything, and then they can still turn their nose up at you, because there's just people that just won't like you. I've definitely encountered people like that. People like that in my family. I'm just okay, but you still should be kind to them. You should still be respectful. And you should still give them the benefit of the doubt that they might change and they might be more accepting, but they might not, and you have to be okay with that too. And you have to just be okay with, people not liking you and not accepting you, and understanding that the world is not fair, but we need to, be our best selves and, be an example of someone that is loving and caring and accepting as much as we possibly can. And just know that it's okay that not everyone likes you, because you probably don't like everyone either. That's the thing that really helps me with this, even though it's one of the tougher things for me. Remembering that I don't like everyone. It's not that I don't hate anyone, but there's people that I don't, I'm not going to hang out with you. I just don't want to, right? Personalities clash. We're not into the same things, and that's fine. That's just normal life, right? Because we're all different. So, or maybe that person is the same, and that just doesn't vibe with you, because you do want to step outside your box more. So that's okay. But yeah, I would say if you have trouble with wanting to please everyone, just know that you don't want to that. But you don't like everyone, and that's okay. And not everyone has to be in agreement for everything. That's just not how the world works, and that's okay. It's okay. Not everyone needs to like you, and you don't need to please everyone. And Like, that shouldn't bring you down because you are still who you are. That matters. People will love you for it. There's going to be some people that don't, but you might learn and grow from whatever commentary and feedback they give you, and you might not. That's okay. It's fine. It's fine. It's all fine. Okay, that's all I have to share with you guys today about this topic. Thank you so much for listening to the Real Positive Girl podcast. Again, my name is Sabrina. I appreciate you guys coming back and listening and downloading and sharing. It's amazing. Again, thank you so much. Check the description box for notes for the show, where to find me on Instagram, and my email address for any questions, comments, concerns, prayer requests, feedback, topic suggestions, or just to say hey, hi, hello to me. Just a heads up that tomorrow we are talking about nurturing your relationships. So come back if you're interested in that. But again, thank you for sharing, downloading, and listening to the show. It's my privilege to have you listen. So again, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.